and those who don't win, because we're all winners in getting protected for ourselves and our family, and also helping everything get back to normal in a pandemic. I'm excited to introduce this week's $1 million winner, and we'll unveil the check and then welcome the family up. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Stephanie Ward, come on down. We need some, cheesy game show music or something. Come on down. I am so excited to introduce our guest, the comeback cash winner, Stephanie Ward, along with her wonderful family. Her husband, Brian, their son and daughter, they all made the decision together and got vaccinated together. And like for so many Coloradans, this pandemic has been hard on Stephanie and her family. She and her husband are hardworking, and they both work 2 jobs. It affected their ability to see and care for their own parents. Stephanie had to put a pause on some of her work. While it's been challenging, like for a lot of Colorado families, and also in some ways it brought them closer, getting through this together. And like the rest of it, they got together around the kitchen table. They decided that the vaccine was the best way to get their normal lives back. They went to their local UC Health for their first and second doses of the vaccine. And now I am proud to invite Stephanie up to the podium to tell us more about her story. And as I told her earlier, you can't walk into a bank with that check. That'll be a smaller check, but they'll have that one as a souvenir to put on their wall. So with that, I'll turn it over to Stephanie.
Okay. Thank you, Governor Polis. And thank you all for listening in today. My name is Stephanie Ward, and it's my honor to be Colorado's second comeback cash winner. I'm very nervous, so bear with me. Here with me today is my husband, my daughter, and my son. And I'm just going to share with you a little bit of our COVID journey. It started out that initially we were not all in agreement with getting the COVID vaccine. We sat down and we, just thought about it together and weighed the risk and the benefits and, what was appropriate for our family. And ultimately we decided that the benefits outweighed any fears that we had. So moving forward on with the kids, it was a bit of a struggle for them, attending chemistry and biology classes online, as you can imagine. But they bared through that. My daughter finished out the end of her senior year, and that was a little bit of a struggle. She continued on to CSU, and that was wearing masks, and then also, attending classes mostly in her dorm room was a little bit of a challenge. My son had a similar experience, and he had remote learning online, and then continued on to hybrid, and now just finishing up in person was wonderful. We ended up buying him a weight bench to keep him busy during the really strict COVID time, because he loves the gym, and that just kept him busy as well. The biggest thing for him was missing out on the socialization. And for me, I think the hardest part was being away from my parents. My mom, I was away from her for about 14 months or so, and not seeing her was a bit of a challenge. And I wanted to wait until she was fully vaccinated to be back in and visiting her again. My dad, he was planning on flying out to visit the kids during my daughter's graduation and also my son's last football game, but he just decided that the risk for him was too high at that time. So once again, we didn't get to see him, but I did have in-laws that lived in town, and they came out to my son's first football game, which was really nice. My father-in-law had breathing issues, so we didn't really see them very much because we didn't want to expose them to COVID either. But they did get to see his last football game of the season. Soon, Thanksgiving rolled around, and this was a big holiday for our family because we always get together. It was huge event for everybody. Anybody was always invited to my father-in-law's house. And decided not to gather this last year because it's just safest for our family to not gather. So that was unfortunately. And then a few weeks later, and unfortunately we ended up losing my father-in-law. It wasn't due to COVID, but just his underlying breathing issues, which is very tragic and very hard, as some of you can relate to, and probably had experiences of losing loved ones. We weren't able to do a proper service for him, and sorry, this is all emotional. As you guys can imagine, I'm super excited that I won the $1 million, but you know, COVID's a real thing, and you know, we ended up losing him. We didn't have a proper service, but that's part of the COVID, and that's part of the reason people need to be getting vaccinated so we can get back to normal. I wanted to tell you guys and share this story with you guys because COVID is a very real thing, and for myself and for a lot of you, we've all had losses, and we've all, you know, it's just time we can't take back, and with family and different things that we've all lost out on. So with that being said, our hopes in getting the COVID vaccine was to return back to normalcy and just to protect the elders that we love. We decided to get the vaccine together as a family, and just recently got fully vaccinated together. And over the past, you know, few years, both my husband and I have worked 2 jobs together, and this money is going to take a huge burden off of the both of us so that we don't have to continue to work 2 jobs to help support our family. And my plans for the money is really to try to stay humble, invest in my kids' college careers, and pay off some debt, and maybe invest a little bit with this. And I just want to thank you all for listening to my journey, and I hope and encourage you guys to get out there and get vaccinated. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And I also, of course, want to express my condolences to the 6,844 people that got, the families who lost the 6,844 Coloradans to COVID during this crisis. And at this point, we really can avoid further loss, and the ability to do that is our own decisions to get vaccinated. If you got vaccinated, you're already a winner. If you haven't and you're waiting, now is a great time to do it. And you also will be entered into 3 remaining drawings to win $1 million, and the 20 remaining drawings for 12 to 17-year-olds to win $50,000 scholarships. To find out more information, you can visit coloradocomebackcash.com. We've already seen an 8% bump in the vaccination rate from these drawings. I know that we can do even better, especially as there's folks out there that plan to get it, and maybe this is you, and you say, I'll probably get it, I'll get it. Well, now's the time to do it. Do it this weekend. Why? You begin your own protection earlier, but also you have a chance at winning the 20 scholarships if you're 12 to 17, or 3 more, $1 million. Stephanie or Sally last week had any idea when they got the vaccine that they could even possibly win $1 million. And they knew that they were winners just because they could then see their family and not have to worry about it and end the pandemic. I was so glad to get vaccinated, as were my parents. I'm able to see them. I also, Stephanie, went about 14 months without seeing my folks at 70s, they're in their late 70s. And thank goodness that we did, because there was a time when Marlon and I did contract COVID, and had we seen my parents during that time, they certainly could have gotten it. So I'm glad that we took that precaution, because we want them here for many, many decades to come. Each person has their own reason for getting vaccinated: protecting your own health, protecting the health of your family members. Maybe you want to travel. Maybe you want to just hang out with your friends safely. And yes, maybe you want to win $1 million. All of those are valid reasons, and it's very easy to do. We still have the vaccination drive-through sites open. You don't need appointments. You can go to Ball Arena, Dick's Sporting Goods for the next couple weeks, your local pharmacy, grocery store, any grocery store, Safeway, Albertsons, your doctor, your health clinic. There's a lot of different ways to get it. And it's really easy, it's quick. And I'll just end on the note that there's other parts of the world now that are suffering from great, great loss every day from COVID. And they would do anything to have the opportunity that we as Americans almost take for granted, and that is to get vaccinated. I was glad to see America being able to help some of those countries, but that's many months ahead before they get that opportunity to vaccinate. So let's take advantage of that great opportunity. Let's get vaccinated and protected, and maybe, just maybe, you'll be the next person up here that wins $1 million. We're happy to take some questions.
Great. This is for Stephanie. I guess where were you when you found out that you were a winner, and I guess what was your initial reaction?
I was at work and sitting at my office desk, and I was really surprised and shocked. I was kind of taken back. I didn't believe it was real, to be honest. I get a lot of solicitation calls, so I was like about ready to hang up on this lady, but I'm glad I didn't. And my initial reaction is just excitement. I'm overjoyed. This is just such a blessing. So thank you. Yeah.
Can you hear me? Hi, this is John Daly with Colorado Public Radio. Question for the governor. Can you give us a little more detail about the 8% increase you said since the campaign began? Was that since you first announced? And do you have any actual numbers of how many people that might represent? Thank you.
Yes, we'll be happy to provide that to you. I don't have that. We have several ways to look at it that demonstrate that. So we'll be happy to get that to you.
Coming up, in general, you feel like the campaign is doing what you're hoping? It's getting more people interested in getting vaccinated.
Yeah, look, the federal government through the CARES Act, American Rescue Act, really funded vaccine distribution well, and that's how we're funding the mobile vaccine stations, ads on radio and television, these drawings, and these really help garner attention to the vaccine. They give people a reason to get it sooner rather than later. I don't think any amount of advertising or drawings actively changes people's minds, but what we find is there's really only a small number of Coloradans that say they don't want it, aren't going to get it. There's a lot more in the middle that say they'll probably get it, but it's just not tomorrow. Maybe they don't like needles. Maybe they don't want to have a sore arm the next day. They put it off. And these drawings are really designed to give people an extra reason to get it now. For the 12 to 17-year-olds to win $50,000 scholarships, and for people 18 and up to have one of 3 more chances to win $1 million.
Governor, obviously there's been a little bump in the vaccination rate. Do you expect that to continue to rise? And then after the sweepstake is over, if it doesn't reach where your office wants it to be, I guess what's the next plan?
Well, it won't rise because more people have gotten vaccinated already. So I mean, we now are at we'll get you the exact number. I think it's 60-some% of Coloradans in the Denver metro area. We just celebrated about 16 counties that are now over 70%. So there's less and less people that haven't been vaccinated. But what we look at is how do we drive for that smaller and smaller number? How do we get that higher? So in areas that are 70% vaccinated, again, our research shows there's probably about 10 or 15% that aren't going to do it. So that leaves only about 10 or 15% that we're trying to say, now's the time, get off the couch, get it done. And so, we're rapidly targeting that smaller and smaller group to make sure that they can be protected and the pandemic. I don't know if that answered your question, but. And then, of course, we're all very hopeful that the vaccine will be approved for under 12. As a parent of a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old, that'll certainly be a relief to me when that's approved. But in the meantime, we certainly encourage everybody 12 to 17 to get vaccinated, get protected ahead of summer activities. I heard Stephanie's son played football. I also want to highlight that we were one of a handful of states that had every high school sports season this year successfully. Some of them were a little shorter, some of them were at different times. I never thought I'd have to get involved with Soviet, but half the districts didn't want to do football at one time a year and another time a year. And thanks to Chaza, they actually had 2 football seasons this year. And I don't know whether you were fall or spring football, but that was the only real solution to actually make sure football season happened, because some districts were ready to go and some said no way. And so every kid got the chance to do it, which is great. You know, you never get those chances twice. So I'm glad that happened across Colorado. And I'm glad that Colorado is doing well on vaccinations. We're, again, in the top tier of states. We're not the top, but we've consistently been in the top 10, 15 states. And we want to finish it out strong, end the pandemic strong, and it's time for that Colorado comeback. Thank you. Which season?